Hi there YouTube, and welcome to my lesson which gives you an introduction onto trigonometry. This video is going to be for people who are very new to starting trigonometry, or people who just need a refresher about what trigonometry is. So what is trigonometry? Well, trigonometry is essentially a ratio between the length of a certain side and an angle. So what I mean by that is if you have two sides, you'll be able to work out an angle, and if you have an angle and one side, you'll be able to work out another side, or both sides. So before we start, I need to introduce you to three names of two or three sides. So the first name is the hypotenuse, and this is always the longest side of the triangle. It doesn't change. The next two sides can vary slightly, depending on what you want to find out. If you have this angle in focus, and what I mean by focus is whether you have the length, you have the number of degrees the angle is worth, or you're trying to find it out. So if you have this angle, or you are trying to find it out, then the opposite side to it, so opposite, it's facing it, this side will be the opposite, and this side will be the adjacent. And if you say, for example, you had this angle, or you're trying to find out this angle, then these two will be the opposite way around. So it just comes with practice working out which one is opposite. You just have to think to yourself, I have this angle here, or I'm trying to find it out, so the opposite angle is this one, and then the adjacent angle is just the last one left. So anyway, why have we labelled the angle? Why have we labelled the sides like this? Well, we've labelled the sides like this to put into our triangles here. Now I will explain what these triangles mean. So so, ka, toa. Now notice the letters on the right side of each triangle represent these letters here. But what do the S, C and T mean? Well, the S is the sine, the C is the cosine, and the T is the tangent. So, let me just draw this, let me just write X as angle to use as an example. So essentially it's saying that the sine, and if you don't know what sine is, it's literally just almost like a ratio or something, but you don't really need to worry about that. You just need to remember on your calculator you have the sine, cosine, and your tangent here. But basically the sine of your angle X is equal to opposite divided by hypotenuse, and the same with each one here. And using this ratio here, or formula here, you'll be able to work out the length or the sides of the angle if you have two of these, any two of these. In this lesson I'm going to focus on just finding lengths, because it's the simplest thing to do and gives you a good understanding of the basics of trigonometry. So now that we have so I'm going to draw an example. So let's say that this angle X is equal to 30 degrees, and the hypotenuse length, as I'm going to say, is 15 centimeters. So what you have to determine is, you have to ask yourself next, which side you want to find out. In this example I'm going to say I want to find out the opposite. So we say to ourselves, well, which sides are we using? Which sides are in focus? So hypotenuse obviously is, because we have the measurements, and opposite is also in focus because we want to find it out. And that's very important. We want to find that out so it will be in focus. We don't need to worry too much about the angle here. So we have opposite and hypotenuse, and we have to look at the three triangles and ask ourselves which one of these triangles has opposite and the hypotenuse in. Well, it's the first one, opposite and hypotenuse. And you get your triangle, and we ask ourselves, what do we have? Well, we have the sine of angle, because we have the angle here. We know it's 30 degrees. We have the hypotenuse, because we know it's 15 degrees. However, we don't have opposite, so we're going to cover it up. So that's going to tell us what to do. If you have experience with equation triangles, you know you times along the bottom and divide along the top. So, to get opposite, we have to times the sine of angle by the hypotenuse. And if you're not sure what you have to do, but it's simple. You just have to do the sine of angle, so sine of x, so x is 30, and then multiply that by the hypotenuse, which is 15 degrees. If we just press S to D to get a decimal, it will tell us the side of this angle is 7.5 centimeters. And that's all you do. That's all you do. It's very, very simple. You just have to know what to do, because it will look very complicated at first. When I first learnt trigonometry, or when I first had a problem with trigonometry, it does look pretty hard to do. But you just have to remember the rules. So let's try a second one. Let's say we're trying to get the adjacent. We're going to be using the hypotenuse again. So which two sides have hypotenuse and adjacent in? Well, it's cosine. So we're trying to find the adjacent, so we hide the adjacent. And it's the same as before. Well, not the same as before, we just do cosine times by hypotenuse. So cosine of angle x, which is 30 degrees, multiplied by the hypotenuse. Sorry about that, my camera suddenly stopped recording. But anyway, where were we? So we're doing cosine times the hypotenuse to get the adjacent, and that equals 12.99 centimeters. So simply write it down there, and that is our answer. So that is the basics of trigonometry. In the next video I'm going to cover how you can work out an angle if you have two of the sides, and maybe you can already think about what that's going to be by using the equations here. You perhaps have to use something called the negative cosine, but I'll go into more detail about that in my next videos. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any comments or feedback, please leave a comment or send me a message. If this video helped you, please subscribe and like my channel. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you for watching.